Welcome to the San Francisco Public Library Commission meeting for January 15th, 2026. The time is 4:30. I'm Margot Schaub, and I serve as the Commission Affairs Analyst. This meeting is being held in person in the main Library Credit Auditorium, and members of the public can observe the meeting using Zoom by following the link in the library's event calendar or by calling 1-877-853-5247 and entering ID number 942-5834-3457. Members of the public who are attending the meeting in person may provide public comment for up to 2 minutes for each discussion or action item on the agenda. Library commissioners in attendance are Vice President Dr. Sean Calhoun, Commissioners Wong, Lopez, Bolander, and Jones.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to the January 15th, 2026, not 5, 6, meeting of the San Francisco Public Library Commission. Welcome to those of you with us in Corrette and to our audience on Zoom as well. We will start with the Ramaytush Ohlone land acknowledgement. The area known now as San Francisco is the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the original peoples of this land, the Ramaytush have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this place. We recognize that we benefit from living, working, and learning on their traditional homeland. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. Thank you. All of the materials for this meeting are available at the back of the Corrette and on our website. Today we have a total of 4 agenda items. Item number 1. Today we turn first to general public comment. At this time, members of the public attending in the Corrette may address the Commission on items of interest that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of this Commission. The public can address the Commission on today's agenda items when that item is called. So now we'd like to open up to general public comment.
Good evening, library leaders. My name is Emily Garvey, and I am the Executive Director of Friends of the San Francisco Public Library. Some updates from Friends. We have our annual book sale coming up on February 6th and 7th at our donation center in Potrero Hill, and hope to see you there. We recently wrapped our most successful end-of-year fundraising campaign in recent years. We welcomed over 600 new donors, which is really exciting and speaks to the passion that San Franciscans have for their libraries. Friends, in addition to supporting the library through financial contributions, is also a political advocacy organization that works to protect the library and preserve its services. Right now, as library advocates, we are very keenly watching the charter reform initiative that's moving through the city, with the goal of making sure that our library preservation fund remains intact and is maintained. We know from our history in San Francisco and from looking at our peer systems that local protected funding is essential to maintaining the system that our residents need and deserve, and we are here to advocate for the preservation of library funding. Lastly, we want to take a moment to recognize and acknowledge our commissioners and your service, and in particular, say special thank you to Connie Wolf, who has served the commission since 2018, and Dr. Mary Lomax-Garaducci, who served the commission since 2014. Their incredible leadership, thoughtfulness, and commitment to the library system will be felt for generations to come, and we're so fortunate to have advocates on the commission for our system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional comment?
Good afternoon. Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association and Library Users 2004 at protonmail.com, protonmail.com, and P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. The previous speaker mentioned 2 members of the commission who I don't see sitting at the table anymore, at least not tonight, and you haven't taken roll call, so it's not clear from the meeting whether they are still on the commission or not. I'm very concerned with the library's direction in general, and it's basically censoring criticisms that we've had about a number of things, including, for example, the library's uncritical touting of tech, including AI, when in fact there are a lot of people who have talked about serious problems, including the Surgeon General of the United States, former President Biden, and particularly Frances Haugen, who more than 3 years ago testified about Facebook prioritizing profits over safety. The library's discriminatory provision of service, more and more we have electronic materials getting not only more money, but much more availability than print. And anybody can read print, but not everybody has access, including all the vulnerable populations like who don't have as good access or don't want it, older people, minorities, English as a second language people, and so on. And you've persistently discouraged public comment by not summarizing it fairly and properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Thank you, Commissioners. My name's Drew Gonzalez, and I'm here because I wanted to revisit an item that was brought up at July's meeting regarding the transfer of materials to high-density storage. As Facilities Director Cunha at that time presented, a few rooms of materials were transferred from the old Brooks Center to 750 Brennan. And this included thousands of periodicals that have been available through the magazines and newspaper center. 6 months later, all of these materials pretty much remain inaccessible to patrons. And considering the size of this collection, its removal from circulation is a pretty substantial disruption to library services. Unfortunately, the library website still lists a turnaround time of 3 days for these materials, even though they're unavailable based on outdated guidance from June of last year. I'd encourage the city librarian to work with staff to immediately update online resources to reflect the current status of these materials, as well as work with staff to ensure that a timeline and long-term plan for returning these to circulation is available to patrons. I'd also ask that the Commission continue to monitor progress on this project and agendize an update for the February or March meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Jason Gibbs, retired librarian. During 2020 and 2021, I was assigned as a disaster service worker, but towards the end, I was allowed to come in 1 day a week to work with my staff. We had new staff that needed training. During that time, there was a all-staff training where somebody from outside of the system instructed us that libraries are at heart a racist institution. And I could not accept that because the culture of our system is not like that. It's contrary to our values of free and equal access. And it's been a long time a part of the culture. There's a wonderful publication that you can view online called Sud Epigraphia, which was the newsletter of staff from the 1970s and 80s. And you can see all the innovative things they were doing to serve the community, setting up foreign language collections for new immigrants, trying to bring service to underserved neighborhoods. A lot of it comes from within the system. So you put up that DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion is important, but that made me wonder why when you appointed staff ambassadors, there was nobody from our custodial department, which is probably the most minority-centered part of the library. These are people who are often English language learners, immigrants. They see the library from a place very different from us. They're the ones who go from anywhere from cleaning up when a kid spills some juice to like cleaning up the bathroom. People camp outside of branches and they leave a terrible mess. We had suicides here. Somebody had to clean that up. The recent murder, the same thing. And it feels like if you're going to really understand the library, the custodial point of view is an important one to include. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment?
Thank you, Margot. I just wanted to share our labor team, representing our members, is looking forward to a dynamic new year and meeting with management to address different items, including safety concerns, dealing with vacancies and understaffing, getting necessary equipment. Commissioners, we look forward to engaging with you as well, and we look forward to this 2026 new year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Thank you. Hearing no further requests for comment, general public comment is now closed. We now turn to item number 2, discussion and possible action to approve our December 18th, 2025 commission minutes. We will open public comment before commission discussion on this item. As a reminder, please limit your public comment to this specific agenda item. Is there any public comment?
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com. Sorry, protonmail.com. protonmail.com. At P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. The first thing I want to say is that you've got the email address wrong. You've only mentioned it once, even though I mention it at every public comment, and I see smiles from the Chief Operating Officer and the City Librarian. Maybe it's a joke, but I do mention how to get in touch. You talk about connecting people or groups of people with each other. It's certainly not a way to connect anybody with anybody if you don't put the correct email address, which I repeat again and again and again, and you've got it wrong. The last time I corrected you on contact information, the body ignored it and went with the wrong version. I think that's very, very dishonest and I think illegal. You're supposed to summarize public comment, and you don't. You typically cut out, and in this case, I'm not going to go into details because there's too much with 40 seconds to say, but I certainly expect for you to correct the email address, which you've only given once, even though I've given it every time I speak. And I want to welcome the new chair in his seat, acting as chair. And I hope that that's a good sign for future meetings as well as future agendas and future actions, like even having a discussion at all to correct minutes when they are clearly incorrect or censored. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Hi. I'd like to continue with something that I mentioned at the previous meeting. In the past, the minutes included the handout material that came with the meetings. And I think of this previous meeting when Michelle Jeffers and Michael Lambert spoke about things. You guys were really enthusiastic about it. And the minutes are really your permanent record as commissioners of what happens. And if you include the supplemental material in the minutes, then anybody in the future who wants to know the historical record and what the library is accomplishing and how the commission approaches it, you really should include that information. It's part of the meeting, and it should be connected with the minutes themselves. I'm thinking for your own historical legacy and for the convenience of future users. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment?
Thank you, Margot. I just thought that last meeting, unfortunately, I've not been able to attend the last couple ones, but Jason shared, I thought it was a very powerful insight. By the mid-1990s, the commission adopted a 4-minute time limit, which by the end of the decade dropped to 3 minutes. In March 2024, the commission acted to amend the bylaws. 4 present members cast votes to do so. The current amended bylaws continue to state that each member of the public can address the commission for up to 3 minutes. I'm just suggesting to the body that perhaps there should be discussion about that 3-minute time limit. Given what was shared, the 2 minutes, as I have 114, the 2 minutes, but if everybody agreed to 3, something is not accurate. So I think that's just a point of just talking about it, to come to some decision that, okay, our bylaws say 3, we've only been doing 2, that we need to add 1 minute. I hope that makes sense to all parties involved. Jason, thank you for bringing it to our attention. I think whenever we have a research librarian, what was the line? The best search engine is a librarian. That's still the best line of last year. So I think we should honor that idea. If that is indeed the case, then I don't see any reason why it wasn't. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment? Thank you. Hearing no further requests for comment, public comment is now closed. We move to commission discussion and action on item number 2. Commissioner Hong.
I just had 2 points of correction. The first one, I'm looking at page 2, the second paragraph from the very bottom, on the very right-hand side of that first line. So it reads, Commissioner Bolander said there's a delta between the approved budget and the estimate, and then the next few words are a little bit unclear, sort of what the phrasing was, but I don't know what to correct it to.
Like what did I say?
If you happen to remember.
Yeah, well, the delta was 2.5 million, not 0.25 million.
Okay.
And it just, the comment was like, oh, last year we had the same discussion and this looks worse.
Yep.
So how, and of course, Mike's going to talk about that today. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more on that. But yeah, that should be 2.5 million.
Great. So is the edit being the delta is 2.5 million?
Yeah.
That's the correct edit for you, right? Great. So I'd propose that. And then I would also propose that we amend on page 1, the first line of the first public comment. The email address should be libraryusers2004@protonmail.com. With those 2 proposed edits, I move to amend the minutes and approve them.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Huang. Can I get a second?
I second.
I have a second from Commissioner Bolander.
Commissioners, please say aye or no when I call your name. Vice President Calhoun.
Aye.
Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Bolander.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. Now we're going to move on to item number 3. Discussion on the facilities. I would like to turn it over to our city librarian at this point.
Thank you, Vice President Calhoun, and good evening, Commissioners. The Facilities Division is the 3rd largest division within our organization in terms of personnel or full-time equivalent staff, effectuating a broad range of functions to deliver a safe and welcoming experience for everyone who walks through our doors. The Facilities Division includes security, custodial, engineering, our mailroom, stockroom, delivery services, and oversight of capital projects. This evening, our Director of Facilities, John Cunha, is going to give you an overview of our Facilities Division as well as an update on our capital projects. John?
Thank you, Michael. Well, that covers it, so I'm going to sit back down. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's a big part of what I'm here to do tonight. I wanted to start off by saying good evening. It's a pleasure to be here addressing this body. especially in this capacity. I want to acknowledge, obviously, the commission, the chief operating officer, my boss, city librarian, and most importantly, I'm going to get emotional, the facility staff that made it here tonight. So thank you for being here. So am I giving verbals on the slides now? Is that what we're doing? Or am I clicking? Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so one thing I was taught was to tell you what I'm going to tell you before I tell it to you. So here you can see on the screen in front of you the agenda. Traditionally, the Facilities Commission presentation has been focused on capital projects. Projects are always an exciting and very concrete topic to consider. They are important without a doubt. Given that we are a small, maybe a medium-sized department, our capital program does not see rapid or dramatic change. Much of the updates I would bring you tonight would be minor changes to what we discussed in March of 2025. It has always been my vision that facilities be valued for the important division that it is, and that I would have an opportunity on a regular and reoccurring basis to give you a general overall facilities update as well. So that's what we're here doing tonight. Additionally, as you can see here on the agenda in front of you, there's a lot that makes up facilities, right? It is even more than what the city librarian mentioned. And as you can see, capital is just one part of the whole. So we're going to be touching briefly on all these. I'll try to not hold you up too long, but it's a lengthy presentation. But we're going to be looking from the facilities office on the 5th floor all the way down through the building into the lower level where our delivery services team is housed along with our custodian and our engineering teams. And we're going to be talking just briefly about all of those. I hope to provide some insight into the essential nature of the services provided by each one of these as they play a vital role in leading this department in our efforts to support the mayor's vision to revitalize this amazing city, to help make San Francisco more affordable, and to strengthen the city's economy, arts, and culture. Slide, please. I don't even know who to look at when I say that. Okay. So the division overview. This is just a general high-level look at facilities. So the facilities division has an incredibly diverse team, which you saw on the previous slides pictures. And I don't only mean that from an ethnic or racial makeup, but also from a workforce perspective. We are one of the largest divisions within our department, and by far we have the widest span of differing disciplines. Not only at the library, but this is also the largest span I've seen at any of the departments I've been a member of in my 12 years with the city. The total head count for facilities, as you can see there, is 155 individuals, full-time equivalent. I'm not going to get into all the details of what that means, is 142 and a half. Occupational scope. So this is an interesting category, which is actually new to me, thanks to one of our outstanding analysts who actually educated me on this. Our Department of Human Resources on the city level, they break job classifications up into these 11 different categories. All municipal positions into these 11 primary occupational categories based on functional roles, such as management, administrative, labor, and trades. Of the 11 that exist, 7 reside within facilities. Managing this level of variety introduces significant administrative complexity, as each category involves different labor union agreements, distinct safety requirements, and specialized certifications. With these 7 categories, facility provides an extensive range of essential services to ensure the operational success of the entire department. For job classifications, you can see there in front of you, we have 27 unique job classifications. Just a brief definition of what that means is beyond the 7 broad occupational categories, facility manages 27 unique job classifications. This means that positions are organized among various tiers of expertise, specifically the entry, journey, senior, and principal levels. Managing such a diverse array of levels is essential for ensuring that high-level technical oversight is present across all library facilities, and maintaining career progression, which is an important one for me, for all of our staff members here in facilities. So with all of those different classifications and categories, facilities gets to interact with 8 different unions. Slide, please. So again, starting up on the 5th floor, the facilities office. I have, well, no better way to say it than I've been blessed by my predecessor and by the support of the chief operating officer that we have continued to triumph the importance and the critical nature of the administrative analyst. Traditionally, facilities did not have much of that kind of help. That's been a pretty big change in the last probably 6-7 years, and it has sped up in my time here. With the addition of the administrative analyst staff we currently have, I believe it is undeniable that professionalism, efficiency, and level of service has increased considerably in the past 3 to 4 years. This slide speaks to only some of the many tasks performed by these professionals. And you can see them right there, everything from procurement to contracts, HR issues like hiring and recruitment, policy improvement, and data tracking. Currently, we have a senior administrative analyst, and this again is just housed on the 5th floor, an administrative analyst, and then we have another individual we get to on the next slide. And some of the various tools we use for facilities management, we use our facilities condition index. That's going to come back around later on in this presentation. Asset Essentials, our work order system. For space and layout planning, Maptician, which is a new procurement we're just getting started with. And we use other tools such as Tableau, SF reports and analytics. And for communication, obviously the basics, including Emma, which is our announcement platform, which records click-throughs and how many people have actually read the emails we send out. Next slide, please. So this is a fun slide, but it actually serves 2 purposes. One, I always want to champion this program, the SF Fellows program. One of my colleagues behind me to my right said to me 3 years ago that the SF Fellows are the most bang for your buck you can get. And man, was he right. I can't get over the quality of work product and the quality of everything from attitude to attendance. I mean, you name it, that we get from the SF Fellows. We have been fortunate in my time here, just my brief amount of time here, to have had, we have our 2nd fellow right now. Our 1st fellow from my time here is now a full-time employee, and he's our 1822 that supports primarily the security unit. And it's, like I said, I cannot espouse enough positive things about this program. So part of the Fellows program is, it's not only a good value, but it's continually generating the next generation of our administrative workforce. So 50% of the fellows who go through this program stay with the city, and about 65% stay in some form of government. And again, just outstanding quality employees. The other part of this slide that I want to pivot on here is that this also speaks to the relationships that we foster in facilities. The SF Fellow programs comes out of DHR, and we have a great relationship there. I think other division managers can speak to what a wonderful person the leader of that program is, Christina Robinson. And we have a wonderful relationship. She's super supportive, and I think that's one of the things I enjoy most about my job. And that's not my relationship with Christina, it's my relationship with many, many departments, right? So in addition to DHR, we also work very closely with the city attorney. We work very closely with the Department of Emergency Management, the Department of Recreation and Parks, which was where I came from before I landed here. I still maintain great relationships there, and we help each other out a lot. The Asian Art Museum, I have close colleagues there. The city administration, specifically the real estate division, DPW and its many bureaus. one of which is represented here tonight. SFPD, the San Francisco Sheriff Department, the PUC, and the San Francisco Unified School District. All these relationships are upheld and maintained by facilities as part of our everyday efforts, right? So through the shepherding of these and development of these relationships, the Facilities Division has improved not only the quality of our own work, but the quality and the services provided by our partner agencies to our patrons and our communities throughout the city. All right, next slide, please. All right, the most recent addition to facilities is our own brand new, just getting started health and safety team, which is a team of one currently. In July of 2024, partially due to a change over at DPH, we made the decision to bring our then contracted health and safety officer on board with us full time. This has been pretty, I don't want to say huge, I'm trying to avoid that word. This has been very impactful. You can see right there, just the numbers alone, which we have a very small data set at this time, but you can see where the accidents and injuries have been trending the last 2 years. The other thing which is really hard to demonstrate on a graph or in numbers is, and again, speaking for facilities, how stale so many of our policies have grown over time, because we didn't have the capacity to continually review and renew our emergency, everything from our emergency operations to our evacuations to how do we deal with injured employees and how do we support them when we come back to work. So this is all work that we are now undertaking at a probably too rapid of a pace, but we have the capacity to do it now that we have our own health and safety person on staff full time. So you can see some of the subject matter expertise listed right there in front of you. Everything from emergency procedure plans and drills, injury and illness prevention program, hazard communication program, workplace violence prevention plan, training for health and safety issues. Ergonomic evaluations are always a real popular one. So these are all done right now currently by one person with the help of some of our admin staff. Slide, please. All right. I wanted to say thank you to your comment earlier, sir. So our custodial unit here, I've always had a sentimental connection to custodians, both here at this department and my previous department. I've always really appreciated the, I don't want to say the underdog, but the unsung hero, right? Those people that show up to work every day and get the job done. And that's, to me, embodied by our custodians more so than anyone. So the custodial unit provides a clean, safe, and healthy environment that fosters productivity and well-being for all occupants through dedicated service and rigorous sanitization standards. Let's go, you can see the staffing there, but let's go on to the next slide. This is something I want to kind of harken back really quickly to, and don't go back, I'm just talking out loud here. I want to go back to that overview slide. I don't know if you noticed the square footage in our department, right? We're somewhere around, I believe it's 673,000 square feet. And that's what we all have to deal with, whether if you're a custodian, you have to clean it. If you're an engineer, you have to fix it, right? The national average for custodial services runs somewhere between 10 and 20,000 square feet per custodian per day, right? So obviously there's a huge variation there based on what type of facility are you cleaning. So 10,000 square feet is considered kind of medical grade facility. 20,000 would be more of an auditorium. I think public library, we fall somewhere right in that 15,000 square feet per day range. So some quick math will tell you that if we want to service every one of our facilities every day, and we're a 7-day-a-week operation, we need approximately 45 custodians at work every day, okay? Now, we have a fairly large head count in custodial, but we also have a lot of challenges. The average, what I'm calling, this is not a technical term, this is a me term, the average show-up rate for custodians right now is just under 30 per day. So they are really trying to do, you know, they're not doing the impossible because they're getting it done most days, but it is a struggle because of that show-up rate, long-term medical leaves, vacation, sick call-outs, vacancies. There's many reasons why that show-up rate is what it is, but they still get it done. You can see here, they do everything from comprehensive custodial services, specialized facility maintenance, a lot of floor restorations, carpet cleaning, that type of work. And then we have been, as a department, and then as a division, then as a unit, custodial has been one of the city's leaders in our zero waste program for all of the city. So I really appreciate all their efforts on that, and they continue to lead that effort. In fiscal year 25, just a couple highlights. They always give a little extra for the branch open houses with pressure washing, window cleaning, that type of thing. Night of Ideas, which is a wonderful event. I wish we could do it every month, but it's also a lot of work. You're welcome, Michelle. But it's also a lot of work, so on all of us. And as you can see there, they completed 1,613 work orders in fiscal year 25. Slide, please. I wanted to acknowledge tonight we have a special guest, Andrew Sohn, architect extraordinaire from DPW. I'm sorry, wow, that mic's hot. He's been an outstanding partner in my time here with the library, very thoughtful man, and he's here if we want to get into any details on the capital program. But we're gonna start out with some general notes here, and then if we need to dig in more, we can. The capital team manages the library capital projects through all development phases and coordinating with city partners, like Andy, to deliver safe and adaptable facilities while maintaining strict budget and stakeholders' interests in the community. Again, small team. I have two people that really serve as the heart and soul of our internal capital team. That's our capital projects manager and our senior administrative analyst. Core services, direct planning and execution of renovations, lead collaboration with city agencies and manage external partner relationships, and oversee project finances. One of the things that you don't see here, it's not really blatantly called out, is really the amount of flexibility that our capital projects manager, Lisa, she's my right-hand person. She's, you know, she is whatever we need her to be at the moment, she's willing to be. So I really appreciate that, and she's a heck of a utility player. And as she's been here even shorter amount of time than me, it is really impressive how her knowledge of our system has rapidly developed, and she helps a ton with our collaboration between capital and engineering and all the different units within facilities. So I just wanted to mention that. Now we can get into a little bit of detail here on the next slide, please. So here's some of the juicy stuff. Current projects, our Mission Branch Library renovation. You can see the budget number there. We're somewhere around the 75% complete phase. We have I'm gonna lose my notes here. We have a substantial completion date for Mission of mid-April. Okay. With a final completion, and this is the date you really want to pay attention to, of mid-June. So move-in should happen around that time, and I'm hoping we have some sort of a ribbon cutting in July. Yeah? Okay, with confidence. Yeah. Write it down. And I don't know if you've all had a chance to go out there or not, but it is a gorgeous building. Andy's team has done a heck of a job with really emphasizing those features that make it a historic building and make it a beautiful facility. So I really appreciate, probably even more so with Chinatown, but I really appreciate the holding on to the classic nature of that building. The main library, let's skip that. Let's go on down to Chinatown. We'll come back up to that. Chinatown branch library renovation is currently in the bid phase. That bid is due to close February 18th. So as I was chatting earlier today, these numbers will really start to mean something after we get the bid back, right? So we're currently at 38.7 million on that project. We should be about a 2-year construction project with a start time sometime in, where are we on that, Andy? June, NTP of late June. So about 2 years after that, we should be reopened at Chinatown. A ton of work has gone into our temporary site. That's ready to go. As soon as we get close to that MTP date, we'll make that move over to the temp site. Again, our capital projects manager has done an outstanding job getting that ready to go well ahead of time. And, I think it'll serve the community very well in the meantime. Moving on down this, the Ocean View Branch Library renovation. I wish I had a more comprehensive update for you on this. Unfortunately, I don't. We are still exploring all the various options that are out there. And, it seems like more options present themselves occasionally. So we're doing our due diligence to make sure that we give the absolute best facility we can to the community and to the city. So that's Ocean View. More to come on that in the near future. And again, those numbers there, those are just some conceptual project estimates. Let's go back up to main library fire panel migration. This is one of those projects. It's not a fun project. It's not a inspiring project, but man, you better, we have to get it done. This has been a heck of an effort, again, led in the latter stages here by Andy. And we're getting really close. And what that's been is in this building, we have, I believe it's seven various fire panels. And when you hear that, just think of the brain of the building when it comes to fire life safety systems. I don't know what all your backgrounds are, but I've been in construction since I was 15, and I had no idea how complicated a building could be until I worked in this building. It is incredibly complex, from smoke evacuation to your basic fire panel alarms and strobes and klaxons to fire suppression. And all of these things have to work in conjunction with one another. So this fire panel migration was well overdue. It's incredibly necessary. And I'm glad we're getting it done. It will be an ongoing project as we move into the future phases of it, but phase 1 is nearing completion now. Main library safety barriers have gotten underway, and we expect to see all the netting gone from the main library within the next year at the most. Okay. Just a personal note here. I don't like this slide, right? I don't like how busy it is on the right side. I would normally edit that out, but I left it in intentionally because I just wanted you, I don't expect, God, I hope you can't read that because my eyes are really bad if you can. I don't expect you to be able to read all of that, but it's just to show you like really what's on deck, right? Like we are very, very busy. We've got a lot coming up. Yeah, that's good. Let's go. This is important. I think this is important. For some of the mayor's priorities. We have a major security system upgrade, which is currently, we just got the information back from the consultant. We'll be developing a RFP on that in the near future to upgrade our security cameras, our badge access system, and along with that, our PA system for this building, because safety and security is always in mind, and it's time to update. Right. All right. I think that's good. Let's go on to the next slide, please. All right. This is have I told too many jokes yet? Here's an article that I got at 11 o'clock one night from my boss. which is great. So from the Washington stand, more than 2/3 of public libraries face major maintenance challenges, right? This was, I believe this article says that many libraries are reported to be in poor condition with increased deferred maintenance. The report discusses outdated buildings and challenges for libraries to meet increasing expectations for access to media materials, programming, technology, emergency services, and voting sites. Per the report, the nationally representative survey estimates about 6,000 libraries nationwide, nearly 40%, have some part of their building in poor or worse condition. We conducted our own facility condition assessment 2 years ago. We are still learning how to interact with that database and using it to inform our decisions moving forward. But you can see just this simple pie chart here of that facility condition assessment. It's a very simple scale. It's basically 0 to 4. As you approach 0, you're in more and more dire need of replacement. So you can see there, 41% of our buildings scored a 4 and 41% scored a 3. So we are actually doing a really, really good job, especially compared to the national average. So I appreciate all the work that engineering puts into that, custodians, even our security staff, right? They all contribute to that. And of course, our public service team gets to enjoy that and be a part of it. So yeah, so I mean, hats off to us. Like, we're in really good shape there. All right. All right, next slide, please. All right, our engineering unit. For those of you, engineering is always, I always thought that was a funny word because it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For us, we have a team of primarily made up of stationary engineers, right? These are the heart and soul of our maintenance team. We have a superintendent of buildings and grounds, chief stationary engineer position, 3 senior stationary engineers, and 6 stationary engineers. These are the people that keep an eye on things, fix things. And again, back to the complexity of this building, this is not an easy job. I cannot tell you how many people have turned me down on job offers once they get to know what they have to do here, right? And a lot of the industry, a stationary engineer is the person that monitors things. That's not the case for us. Here, our stationary engineers work hard. They are mechanics as well as observers and record keepers. We also have a carpenter who amazes me every time I see pretty much anything he produces. Our electrician, outstanding individual. We are now at 2 laborers, and we have 1 senior administrative analyst that supports that unit as well. Next slide, please. Did we change slides? There it is. All right. Here's just a few more details. So core engineering services, climate control and HVAC operations, elevators, transportation support, public amenity, and again, everything's 24/7 here. Some partnerships. And in fiscal year 25, this unit completed 2,898 work orders. That's it for engineering. Next slide, please. Excuse me. Our security unit, another unit that I'm very fond of. I work very closely with our security team on a daily basis. The security unit ensures safe and welcoming environments within all San Francisco public library facilities through preventative patrols, responsive crisis management, and strategic coordination with municipal emergency services. We have 1 security manager, 4 building and grounds patrol officers, and 35 building and grounds patrol officers, 4 supervisors, 3 building and grounds patrol officers. I guess this makes sense. I was going to ask you, but I think it makes sense. By far the most trained unit in facilities is security team. They are constantly going to trainings from crisis intervention to de-escalation training to understanding how dogs think, like you name it. They get a lot of training. They do a really good job. They are what I consider the most public-facing part of facilities, and it's a thankless job. But they do a great job. They are a wonderful team. Next slide, please. These are just one quick slide. Oh, let me get this housekeeping out of the way here. I made an error, and I like to talk about my errors so that nobody else talks about them. These two graphs at the bottom got repeated. It was an error on my part. I didn't catch it. The other graph, the one for the total incidents, should be different than it is, but it is very comparable. But just be aware it is incorrect. But as you can see here, in the last few years, our incident numbers have declined. We're basically 11.7, I think it's 11.7% down from fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. You can obviously see we have our busier times of the year, but in general, we're getting something right here, and we are driving these trends down. So I'm really proud of them for that, and they do a good job. Like I said, it's a thankless job. Let's go on to the next slide, please. Okay, God, I got a lot of things I like. Emergency planning. This is another important, very, very important part of facilities and part of what I do on a daily basis. So emergency planning, right? We all, as city employees, we are all disaster service workers. We're all expected to bear some of the burden when we have a COVID, when we have an earthquake, when we have a tsunami, when we have a power outage. So I take this very seriously, and one of the things it occurs to me is that as the San Francisco Public Library, we fulfill a very specialized and unique role. We have a public-facing building in every community in our city, right? Rec Park might be able to say that, but I know we for sure can say that, and I think that's critical to this topic right here, right? In emergency planning, we provide safe spaces and critical services to our communities during emergencies while also coordinating with city partners on emergency responses. Many partnerships around this topic. City Administrator, City Hall, Asian Art Museum, Rec Park, Department of Emergency Management, and other public-facing city organizations to align our procedures with citywide standards. We, on a regular basis now, this is a fairly new development, but we regularly join citywide tabletop exercises and planning events put on by Bay, I hate using acronyms, I apologize, Bay UASI, and hosted by the Department of Emergency Management. We have upcoming incident command structure training that will be rolled out for our management team and then other employees. And we're going to be developing and standing back up our own department operations center so that we can interact with the emergency operations center on a larger level more fluidly. And then I'm also excited to say that I think for the first time since COVID, we will have staff involvement at the next big EOC stand-up, which is going to be for, can I say Super Bowl? Super Bowl, for the Super Bowl week. So is that trademarked? I shouldn't say it. Yeah, so we will be part of that, and I'm excited to be a team player on that. This is a wonderful tool here. This picture, I didn't even think to talk about this, and I'm seeing it looking at me. This was a GIS map that was developed by one of our partners from City Admin. This was a fun exercise in which people had basically a survey, right? And we did a big 4 or 5 department exercise on this, and we did it very quietly to test it, and it worked really well. And basically, we had about a dozen of our team go out to our various branches to act like in real time. And on their mobile device, they were able to fill out the survey, and the survey is very basic, right? It's something that it was designed with the idea of like a 10 or 11-year-old. Can you answer these questions by looking around, right? So we used our facilities team to go out and do that. questions like, is there still a roof on the building? You know, is the building secure? Are there trees in the roadway in front of the building? These types of things. And they were, you know, a lot of people, you know, I did mine very dramatically, but you could do it any way you want as a test, right? And within seconds of hitting send, all the results start popping up on this GIS map. So as a department coordinator for emergencies, it's my job to get him the fastest information I can after a major event. So this is a tool that we're continuing to develop to use so that I can go to the city librarian and say, look, we're online in 23 of our 27 branches, we look good, or, you know, nobody goes here, it's dark, whatever the case may be. So this is, again, near and dear to me. I love this kind of work. I think it's very, very important. All right, next slide, please. All right, delivery services. So our delivery services team, we're going to do a little spoiler alert here. We're going to be changing the name in the next few months. This is going to become logistics, okay? Because this is everything. Anything that moves within our department, it goes through this team here, whether it be mail, whether it be a book being returned to the main that needs to go out to Bernal Heights, it goes through this group here. Currently, we have an unfilled fleet and logistics manager position that will oversee this entire team. We have a general labor supervisor, 5 truck drivers, the sorting room staff of 11, and stockroom staff of 2, soon to be 3. This is interesting. I was speaking with a city colleague the other night, and they said, you know, we're talking about what we do at our different jobs, and they said, wow, you guys are like the veins of the body of the library. And I said, well, yeah, delivery services is, but if you're going to use that analogy, we're also the skin because we protect everybody. We're also the bones because we provide the structure. So the metaphor broke down pretty quickly, but it was interesting. Like, this is our circulatory system, right? And they do an outstanding job. And they make the best slides ever. Can I have the next slide, please? I love this slide. I don't know what it is about this slide. I love it. Simple, easy to read, impactful. So this unit has touched over 2 million books in fiscal year 25. We're going to talk just real briefly. So I don't even want to get into the detail of what a transit bin versus a reserve bin. Special packages that need to be delivered and they go out. The other thing, an efficiency improvement that was made prior to me being here, which I think is just a lovely thing, is what's labeled black bins there. That's actually how we get our custodial supplies out to the branches, which I think was genius. So you can see that just as part of the trucks that run 7 days a week, 3 different routes, sometimes 4 routes, depending on how they're being broken up, it just made sense to add the custodial supplies there and just keep them moving, right? So I would like to, I've been trying not to call out any individuals in this presentation, but I would like to just mention Winnie Duong. She's been the acting fleet and logistics manager for almost a year now. Just one highlight, when she took over as acting, we had vehicles that were 1,000 days behind on maintenance. We had, every vehicle was at close to 300 days or better. It's been less than a year. Everything is current and handled. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate her can-do attitude, and she gets it done. And I really I love having her dealing with that because the work gets done. I appreciate that. All right, next slide. All right, so that's it. I mean, the last thing I just want to leave you with is, as we move forward, I think one of the core services that is so important to the library that I don't think you can replace with an iPhone or a computer is we provide the core service of space, right? We provide that third space. And, we at facilities want to bring that space to, not only our own staff, but to our citizens and our patrons as clean, functional, beautiful, and as inspiring as possible. All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. That was the most comprehensive presentation of our facilities division in my entire 12 years. Maureen, as the Chief Operating Officer, is there anything you wanted to add?
I just want to thank John for taking the time to really introduce you all and everyone here to the complexity of the facilities division. And more importantly, I want to thank all the folks from facilities that are here and anyone who's in earshot and those that you share. I have deep, deep appreciation for what you do. You have a hard job, and I appreciate the commitment that you have to each other, to quality service, and to the citizens of San Francisco. So thank you so much for what you do.
Fabulous. Thank you, City Librarian, our COO, and of course, Director Kuna. That was a wonderful presentation. We will now open for public comment on this item. Is there any public comment?
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association. We can be reached at P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544, and Library Users 2004 at protonmail.com. Thank you for the Vice Chair, Pete Huang, Huang, for making the motion to correct our email address and for the Commission for voting for it. And thank you for the report. It's very extensive, and certainly 2 minutes is way too little to talk about in detail. This is one of the richest libraries, certainly the richest the last time I checked in its service. So we should expect nothing but the best. I don't see a numbers figure here for the budget. I'm wondering what that is. With respect to a number of items, security, how welcoming is it these days to have uniformed folks in many of the branches? And also, what are we going to do about the coming potential problems that we're seeing in our country and other cities like Minneapolis, Portland, and so on? How is the library going to deal with those sorts of things and protect perhaps its safe space? With respect to, my understanding was that computers need some attention. I don't know if that's a capital project. The whole system-wide was replaced during COVID and has many weaknesses, including privacy of materials, a degraded service so that there's no 11 by 17 paper anymore, which I think is bad for patrons, and potentially hard on books. With respect to the fellows, I think it sounds like a good program, but I have never once seen any meetings from them, nor any public invitation to the public or any of their products at all. And there's a lot more to be said about facilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Yes, there's an additional comment. Thank you, John. I think the presentation does a wonderful job of making the case for how responsible and committed our workers are. In this vast, varied framework, as we just saw. Now, going into a new budget cycle, we encourage management to take a focus on not getting minimal staffing, but getting optimal staffing, so our workers can reach service excellence standards that we've been brought up in. Second point. We go back a ways, Ocean View branch, and we're very happy to work with you. And you know, back in 2017 or 16 with Ocean View, sitting with you. So I'm frontline staff at my location, and again, our service excellence standards that we're taught in. I think the piece for staff is providing information. I think Ocean View is a branch that we want to give more messaging on what's going to happen to it. It's been many years. So I think this is something for the body to consider in terms of moving it forward. Andy's great. We appreciate working with him. But I just think this is something that frontline staff have to address in case I just did it earlier today. So just putting that out there. The last thing I just want to speak to the library's Health and Safety Committee, which I'm on, with the mention of the one who's a wonderful addition to our group. We've been doing a lot of committed work for these many years, and we look forward to an all-staff meeting where we can give a presentation.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
I really enjoyed that presentation, and that staff was highlighted because they are often invisible to people. Going back to custodial, they are actually part of the forward-facing part of the library too. They provide customer service. Oftentimes they serve as Cantonese translators because somebody recognizes a face. But what I really appreciate is that they provide a public service to staff. They have, when I was working, they were so reliable. And often you ask them to do the most miserable things and not a complaint ever. So again, kudos to the custodial staff. I also want to applaud the security staff, but also wanted to note that the numbers have grown incredibly large compared to what they used to be, having to do with conditions in the city. So that it was unheard of in the past when I started here that you would find an officer, a buildings and ground officer stationed at a branch. Now most branches have one. Unfortunately, that's necessary, and they're doing good work. But I've noticed that some of the calmer branches have. I'm an active patron now. Have officers when branches that I know are sort of busier and more problematic haven't had. And when I've asked about it, it's because of vacations or something. So I think they have to look at their incident tracker and see how they can be best deploying the staff that's going to the branches, which I think everybody wants, but is more needed at some locations than others. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Seeing none, public comment is now closed, and I turn it over to my colleagues for discussion. Commissioner Bolander.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation. I had one question about health and safety, just real quick. The substantial drop of incidents or injury between 2024 and 2025. Was there anything? I mean, it's great work. So is there anything we're obviously going to continue to try to do that? But when you see a drop like that, usually somebody did something good, I would assume.
I walked all the way up to here to say, I don't know. We can dig into it and find out. I attribute a lot of that to really just the onboarding of Nancy and the elevated awareness. Yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, that's a really important thing to try to figure out as, we move forward, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Anything that helps health and safety is always ripples through the rest of the organization because it's important that people feel safe. So,
yeah, no, I totally agree. I would just add to that we're, in terms of injury numbers and such, we're pretty flat. Like we've never been really high in our numbers, and we've been pretty consistent over the years. So, a 5 or 6 point change looks dramatic, but it's not a ton. I know it's a little bit more on this case, but
15.
Yeah.
It's 22.3%.
Yeah.
I did the math.
Yeah. So no, we'll definitely dig in some more. Like I said, we have actually 2 policy projects going on right now that deal with this exact type of thing.
Yeah, that would be great in the next couple of months if we get a report on that. Just because, again, like we want to showcase what's working great, double down on that, and then ensure that maybe there's some learnings here for other departments, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Thanks.
Commissioner Lopez.
Great report, Jan. Thank you. Pretty extensive. I do have a lot of questions that will probably be follow up by emails because I'm just curious. But overall, the different areas that you went through, it makes me think that, when people think of library, they think of books and librarians, but it takes a whole community to operate. I really want to congratulate the custodians. I seen them put events and after the events and how chairs and tables are picked up and the library turns out to be just what it was when before the event. So it's great work. I also agree with you. Engineering means so many different things to many people. And sometimes it doesn't do justice to the work behind it. And the engineers get the credit, but everyone deserves the credit. You did mention for the security that there's a lot of training and profession and staff development. What is the staff development for the other units and the other people besides the regular trainings that they have to take? And what opportunities do they have to advance within their careers?
Do you want me to try to answer that now, or is that an email follow-up?
The email will be about other things, but just like I will say the area where I'm most curious is professional development and career advancement.
No, I'd love to address that. I'm going to address it more from a philosophical level, though, than get into details because I don't have all the different things memorized. Two things. And I know Elise, who is one of my newer admin team, her and I have been working on this a lot in terms of our administrative analyst structure, right? And I only bring that up because it's a nice little compact version of what I'm trying to do for all of facilities, which is I want to create a promotional path for anybody that comes through my door, right? Because I want to hold on to the talent, right? I don't want to lose an 1822 because he doesn't have an option to promote in-house, right? I hate that, right? So in my admin units, or they're kind of spread throughout the division, but it's my goal, and we're almost there, is to have the entire family of 1800s is the classification number, so that when I bring somebody in, like Alex, our fellow, who hopefully we can hold on to her after her fellowship. We bring a Stanford graduate over here, right? She's fantastic. Bring her on as an 1820. She has that promotional pathway as vacancies come up to stay in the library. So that hopefully after a long, lovely career, I've got an 1824 who's making a wonderful living that's been with us for 15, 16 years that knows this place inside and out, right? So I'm trying to do that with wherever I can within facilities, okay? So that's one piece. The other piece, just plug your ears. I tell all my staff, if you want to do a training, you tell me what it is, I'll figure out how to make it happen. I don't care what it is. Because improvement is only going to benefit all of us, right? I don't care. I've told my security officers, you want to take a public speaking course? Let's do it. I mean, I put it on them to find it because I don't have time to do it myself. But so I try to open the door for any possible training that staff want to take. In terms of mandatory training, that's a whole different threshold, right? I had 3 or 4 staff just the last couple days were in lean process training through the city's performance improvement team. So yeah, we're constantly looking for trainings. Our admin in engineering just put together a forklift training for really the greatest number of people that have been now certified for forklift training here at the library. I mean, which seems like not like that exciting of a thing to talk about, but when operationally, when my stockroom guy had to go look for somebody to operate the forklift, unload the truck, like it was ridiculous, right? So now he's trained, when he's trained, all the engineers are trained, like we have a robust team of people that can jump on that forklift now so we don't have to wait to go find the right person to unload the truck. So I'm a big fan of training and improvement, personal improvement. So I support it in terms of like a definitive list of what's required. I'm happy to send that to you. But yeah, the door always open to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My last comment for the delivery services. I cross the town to get to my work every morning, and I see them delivering at the Merced branch or the Westboro branch, or I see those trucks, and I had to give a shout out to them because over the rain, I saw them moving those bins under the rain, getting them to the library. So, lot of gratitude for what they do as well. And, you know, they're seen. I mean, in the mornings if you're out and about at 7, even sometimes earlier, you see them
Yeah.
delivering those books. So thank you.
Yep. Yeah, god awful hours, but they get it done.
Commissioner Jones.
I just want to first say, John, I can feel the pride you have for your team, and it's incredible. And they're lucky to have, hopefully you guys feel this way, but, you know, a leader like you who, you know, will do whatever it takes to get said training program. So I just also want to commend you. I wrote down before you even said unsung heroes, but I think that this department with 155 employees, majority of which are behind the curtain, do so much work. And I just want to double down on everyone's gratitude here. It is the heart and soul of like what keeps the lights on here. And so thank you to this team. I know it is not easy work. I had just one comment and one quick question. The SF Fellow program, I think, is really interesting, and I'm curious if that just lives within your department. And no,
It's citywide. Yeah, it's ran by DHR, and it's not to.
I meant relative to the library, like if it's sat in other.
Yeah, we've had fellows in our finance office and our research strategy and analytics with public service. So it's a little bit of a battle every year about who's going to get that benefit. So they duke it out, and we see where the biggest need is. And then also it depends on the number of people that the city decides they want to be a part of the program.
Yeah, and that's I want to actually say it out loud. I was so the year we had Alfonso as a fellow, I believe there was 34 in that cadre. And, you know, this year it was cut to, I believe, 8. And I think that is such a travesty of an outstanding program that's been ran exceptionally well. And we've got, and in my opinion, in my experience, we've gotten a huge return on our investment. So next time you talk to the mayor, that fellows program is.
I will.
Okay, good.
Great, that's helpful. I didn't know if this was like this secret gem happening within the facilities that we should be sharing kind of across other departments. And then my other is just a comment. You know, I know you acknowledged that you didn't like the right side of the capital page, but I did like that side. And specifically the 5-year plan, you know, there were 15 bubbles there. And it's more of a statement like strategically. If I actually look at I did look deeply at what each one said. And 3 of them were kind of what I would call patron or kind of consumer facing. Like one was the children's center, one was the flooring, and one was the outdoor facade. And I think as a library, we have to constantly balance I'm gonna call the health of the home, like the stuff you don't see, with the things that actually wow and the surprise and delight of what keep people coming back. And I think that it's that strategic tension because we need to keep the lights on. We need to, you know, the fire suppressant or, you know, we need to have those working. But I want to be sure that we don't swing the pendulum so much that it's all operational and we don't have any room for the, oh my gosh, wow, how I feel in the building, how I feel, and that could be interpersonal, whether that's working with people and just the space. And so that's like more of just a thought and strategic push as we move forward, knowing that that is a 5-year plan. So that's not directed directly at you, John. It's more of just when I look at those bubbles, how do we make sure that there's balance there over the next 5 years?
Agreed. I mean, I don't think they're at odds with each other. I think it's the same thing. I was fortunate enough to go to Harvard first few months I was here for a Libraries of the Future design program. Lisa's gone as well. I think maybe Maureen's gone. That's one of the things they talk about there for sure, right? I mean, I really latched on the biophilic design element. That, that's kind of my background, my personal interest. But one of the things kind of around that, but in general, they talk about is the moment of awe, right? And that is incredibly important, right? Like, why do you whisper in this space? I don't know. We just do it, whether it be a church or like a grove of redwoods or the atrium when everything's bright and lit up and shiny, right? But yeah, no, those are the revered spaces that we want to work in and offer to the public for sure.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Huang.
John, thank you for the presentation as always. I really enjoy whenever you break down a situation for us or give us an overview of what your team is doing. And thank you. I'm going to triple down on all the gratitude that's going on. Thank you for coming, first of all, because I get to say this to your face. We do not talk about your work nearly enough, and the public does not talk about or see your work nearly enough. Largely, there's one part of it due to nature, but just second of all, like it's thankless, right? When you do a great job, nobody complains. And it's also not recognized, but if something goes wrong, then all of a sudden, you're the first one to get a comment about that. But just know that we deeply, deeply appreciate your work. It is hard work. It is complicated work. I know we're entering into budget season, right? Like one of our, at least personally, when I look at the budget, I just want to make sure that facilities, given that it is literally the first sort of like interaction point a member of the public would have with the library, before you talk to someone, you're in the building first, right? That we are doing what we can to make sure that you have the resourcing that you need to do your job well. So that said, I have two questions for you, John. One, which is on the health and safety. I'm actually just going to double down on what Commissioner Bolander said, which is around like the nature of the injury numbers. I think my top level concern, not knowing any details about like the nature of the work, things like that, given that we have 155 folks, and we're averaging something like 40 to maybe 50 injuries.
Those are department-wide.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. Never mind.
So more like 900 people. Yeah.
Great. I think, yeah, if you change that denominator, it gets really concerning really quickly.
Sorry if that wasn't clear. Yeah.
And then my other question was on security. So looking at the slide that's got the number 23 on it, headline is security unit. How do we understand the number of incidents? Like, how much control do we actually have around these numbers? Or like, two potential ways to interpret it. One, which is that we do have some level of control, and so therefore we can change how we interact with the public or certain policies and procedures, et cetera, and therefore the number might come down. Another way to interpret it is we don't have control, and therefore the number of incidents is purely a measure of how much the security unit sort of has to receive from the public, if that makes sense. Can you tell me more about as the number changes, is it because we're doing something, or is it because the Save the City changes, or what's at what are the drivers?
I mean, right. Okay, that's the question, right? It's not any one thing; it's all of them, right? So since 2022. This location here has seen a vast improvement in our environment, right? I mean, during COVID, we had the Safe Sleep Center on Fulton. It's, we're on the edge of the Tenderloin. It's rough. There's been a huge activation on Ewan Plaza. We're doing everything we can to activate Fulton Plaza. Civic Center Plaza's always been fairly nice. And I interact with a large stakeholder group for this area on a regular basis, right? And it is the consensus, both with the PD and this stakeholder group, the area is getting better. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is true. It's still rough, it's still tough, but it's getting better. Yeah. I think personally, the move of the farmers market has helped with that, because again, it's positivity here. So there's that. In terms of the actual number of incident reports, I mean, again, I can get all philosophical and weird about that, but in my opinion, no, we have a ton of control, and that's one of the things I work with my security team on, right? It's like, you're not here, you're here to keep people in the library, not out of the library. You're here to be a critical thinker, a decision maker, not just a body, right? And one of the things that I took away from an early training back in 2022, or it was actually a lecture, is, you know, if you look at a timeline and you've got the incident right here, right? And you've got all the stuff that happens after the incident. That's what we tend to focus on, right? Something bad happened, he's been removed from the library, there might be an arrest, whatever. We don't tend to look at what happened up before the incident, right? And so that's one of the things I always stress with the security team is like, what's happening before it's a problem? Are you saying hi when they walk in the door? Are you exchanging names maybe? Are you talking to them about their dog instead of just demanding paperwork from them? Like, I think you can establish that bond and that relationship in a matter of seconds, and it really helps to drive those numbers down. And we're just, you know, we have staffed up a little bit in the last 3 years. We've added a few head count, that helps. And I just, you know, for the most part, I have a good receptive team. I mean, they're kind of picking up what I'm putting down right now, so that's really good.
Great. Super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to add just a little additional perspective. You've heard John's customer focus, which he is really instilling in his team and improving the organizational culture. But this organization has really been on a journey with regards to safety and security over the past dozen plus years. I want to say we were at a crisis point circa 2013, 2014, and Randy was in the city performance unit back then over at the controller's office, and this department requested support, and we did an assessment. There was an audit of our security function, and there was a report that listed a number of recommendations. And we methodically worked through those recommendations over the course of years. We have approximately reduced our security incidents by 50% over the past dozen years. And a lot has gone into that. The commission has supported improved investments in safety and security through successive budget cycles. We have implemented innovative ideas like bringing Urban Alchemy in to be restroom monitors. We've enhanced our social worker program by employing health and safety associates, formerly unhoused individuals, to engage with members of our community in a culturally competent manner. We have staffed up. In 2014, we had 0 branches that had fixed post security, and now we have approximately 12 branches. I guess the point I'm making is we've taken a data-driven approach to how we invest in safety and security. It remains a top priority for everybody on the executive leadership team. Every day we come in, it is front and center of our consciousness. And you know, I want to give a shout out to our labor partners. We have an ongoing dialogue with SEIU on a monthly basis. Health and safety is on every agenda. So I just want to give you the full picture of how expansive our efforts are on this front.
Thank you very much. Commissioners? Fabulous. John, thank you so much. Just a little side story. It's been a while, but my start in libraries was actually working for somebody like you. I was the guy you called when the toilet didn't work. And so the comments from colleagues and yours about making sure that the work is seen and valued and every person matters means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Turn on our mic and turn to item number 5, a discussion about our fiscal year 27 and 28 annual budget priorities. My script says that we will go to public comment before discussion? Is that? So we're going to present and then comment. Fantastic. Let's rock and roll.
Thank you, Vice President Calhoun. Library staff appreciate the opportunity to continue the budget discussion that began right before the holidays. At this stage, the prospective FY27 and FY28 budget is continuing to take shape for your consideration and input as we prepare for your approval next month. Since we last met, the Mayor's Budget Office provided budget instructions and the latest revenue projections for our department. The prospective budget for this cycle continues the trend over the last few years of putting forward more fiscally constrained budgets. CFO Mike Fernandez is back again this evening to deliver this presentation. Mike?
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the warm introduction. Good evening, commissioners. And I want to start off by, continuing all the gratitude. And I want to thank all the dedicated staff at the library who've worked really hard to develop the budget proposals we're going to review today. As way of roadmap, today we're going to cover where we are in the budget process, the current budget environment, the guiding principles we use to prioritize those proposals, a review of our collections budget, the review of the preliminary proposals, and reviewing the next steps. I do want to take this opportunity to note that the item before you is not an action item. Rather, we're looking for your feedback on how the budget we're presenting is shaping up. In February, we will bring the budget back for your approval. Thank you. Next slide. So this slide illustrates where we are in the city's where we are in our budget process, represented there by that vertical red line. Tonight's session frames our discussion before the February proposal review and approval. Next slide, please. There we go. All right. So the city is facing over a $900 million deficit over the next 2 years. You may recall the city took substantial steps last cycle to address the persistent deficit by contemplating substantial reductions to labor and other ongoing reductions. And the ones that were taken have reduced the potential deficit. And there is some reason for optimism. We continue to see revenues growing, particularly strong business tax growth, as well as modest growth across the other local taxes. That said, we are facing the substantial loss of federal revenue from H.R. 1, aka the big, beautiful bill. However, the progress made on the cost control I mentioned earlier has enabled the mayor to go ahead and make the decision to push out the use of general funds fund balance to fiscal year 28, which for us is a good sign. On the expenditure side, the city, like the library, is experiencing rapidly rising labor costs, as well as healthcare costs, which is driving the citywide increase in expenses. Next slide, please. As Michael mentioned, we have received the budget instructions from the mayor. I provided the mayor's priorities to you here on this slide. The library's budget speaks to the economic revitalization by investing in our staff and infrastructure that makes the city more affordable and livable for families, as well as strengthening the city's economy, arts, and culture. As we have talked previously, we continue to align our culture and work with Vision 2030, and in doing so, we align with the mayor's priority of an effective common sense government by modernizing our systems, supporting staff with technology, training, and opportunities to innovate and focus on improving our services and functions to deliver results within our financial means. To achieve reductions this year, the mayor's office is taking a more ambitious approach by applying a more programmatic lens to of our budget and challenging departments to hit a citywide savings goal of $400 million rather than issuing individual targets, as the folks probably remember from prior years. We are to accomplish general fund savings by eliminating programs and targeting a 10% reduction in interdepartmental work orders and overhead. Work orders that pay for things like public works, I guess Andy just left, but public works services, capital projects, our capital projects, as well as just paying our utilities through the Public Utilities Commission. They are looking to consolidate functions to achieve savings, as well as to review our contractual agreements and technology for savings. The mayor's office will also consider near-term investments that yield long-term savings in department budget submissions. To sum up in another way, in the face of this current budget environment, what City Hall is asking departments like the library is to leverage our existing partnerships and address issues programmatically and avoiding duplicating efforts in departmental silos. So let's zoom in a little bit and look at us here in the library. Like the rest of the city, the Library Preservation Fund outlook has improved since the budget was approved last cycle by $3 million, and fiscal year 28 is expected to see a 1.5% growth to $198.1 million. Which leads us to the question, how are we putting the funds entrusted to us by our citizens to good use? Next slide, please. Last month, you heard me discuss in a bit of detail what the iterative review process looks like. So today, why don't I just reiterate that we start here with our strategic plan, Vision 2030, our organizing principle, and evaluate budget proposals on how they move our organization closer to realizing its objectives. This review involves discussions across the organization, taking advantage of the diverse expertise and perspectives that we have here at the library. Next slide, please. Each January, our budget discussion includes a deeper dive into our collections budget. Let's start with the numbers. So for fiscal year 27, we're proposing to keep our Library Preservation Fund collections budget steady. In doing so, we are clear-eyed in the knowledge that the increasing cost due to inflation, tariffs, and consolidation in our industry means a reduction in our purchasing power. This is a challenge that our collections and technical services team is taking on with deft creativity, finding solutions to keep our collections robust and responsive to our patrons. While challenging, we continue to have one of the highest per capita collections budgets in the country and remain on the high end with our peer urban libraries for total collections budget. I would also like to point out that we are taking advantage of the opportunity to begin a new partnership with the Department of Early Childhood and co-fund the Deli Parton Imagination Library, which complements our youth library initiatives. The increase in fiscal year 28 is additional funds to start procuring our refresh collection for our Chinatown library that we're anticipating to open, I heard Andy say, with June 2029. So that will start that process. Next slide, please. It almost goes without saying how integral our collections is to what we do as a library. Even with decreased purchasing power, this budget will allow us to maintain our physical collection support for all of our permanent locations, as well as our mobile outreach, the jails, and the books at our bookstop kiosks. This budget will also continue supporting youth learning through Scholar at Home, Summer Stride, and our large array of youth outreach events. It will also sustain the Honor Bound by providing book giveaways at family and adult-centered events. And I'd like to point out the image that you see on the slide, which for me as part of this budget discussion illustrates how we're able to get such a large impact out of our investments in our collections. Here you can see we are leveraging our partnerships with the Human Rights Commission and the Mayor's Office and our drag laureate to bring people to our resources and engage with them and create opportunities to engage with each other. As for the e-collections, for our resources, we will continue to support ebooks and e-media where we see continued growth in circulation, about a 4.8% increase in fiscal year 25 from the prior year, thanks in large part to the creativity and the diligence of our staff. We started discussing last budget cycle how staff have really taken on the challenge of systematically evaluating our current databases and using successfully established criteria. We continue to observe changes in patrons' patterns of use. There was a major change I just wanted to touch on briefly. In case you didn't see in the news, Baker & Taylor, the company that maintains Boundless, went out of business and retired their platform on December 8th of this past year. This was more of a sudden change, but as in the course of our staff's work, they compare the changes that they are seeing against the cost per use and find the best available option that balances what our patrons are seeking, the overall patron experience, while minimizing the costs and eliminating duplicative waste. Next slide, please. As you see in the 5-year collections, while we did reduce last year our overall budget, the five-year time horizon funding is actually fairly stable. Fiscal year 25 increase was to build on our successful partnership with Hoopla to provide access to incarcerated populations, and we do intend to continue that investment. This level of funding, as I mentioned, is consistent on the high end of collection budgets with our peer libraries. Next slide, please. All right. While holding the collections budget steady, we'd like to provide context on the cost increases that exceed those included in our base budget, and our base budget being the commitments that are rolled forward from last cycle with some adjustments. These are items that we have limited or no ability to influence and are provided to ensure you have situational awareness without having to consider them as separate budget proposals. So far, we have accounted for approximately $25.3 million in cost increases over 2 years. This is largely driven by contractual raises through fiscal year 27 and an assumed CPI increase in fiscal year 28 of approximately 3% and higher retiree health contributions. It's a big number. The technology increases are about $2.8 million, and those include things like rising software costs, the replacement of our cybersecurity equipment that has reached its end of life, and overall of the self-checkout kiosks. The $4.5 million you see for facilities is to fund continuing assessments, replace the aging equipment and tools, and tend to our infrastructure. And the remainder is for the collections that I mentioned earlier. I'm also excited to share the continued progress we've made in finding partnerships and creative solutions to keep pushing towards Vision 2030 without the need to ask for new investments. The staff of the library continue to put forward their best ideas and really work in partnership to find solutions. We'll talk a little bit more about the security project on the next slide, but we're able to identify available funds within our capital program to significantly offset a portion of that project's estimated cost. And we also spoke a little earlier about the partnership for the Dolly Parton's Library, which we found we could leverage our existing funds and join the state, Sparkler administration, and Department of Early Childhood to reach an estimated 15,000 children while only bearing 29% of the costs. So, good deal. I wanted to also briefly touch on when contemplating how we would provide furnishings for our new affinity centers and outfitting our history center with up-to-date tools. We looked at our current funding and found ways to fit in these initiatives in the ongoing work and associated funding, forgoing the need for new allocations. While we go through the same process every year, I think it is important to make sure we are communicating that we are finding solutions to ensure we are making investments towards a Vision 2030 without always needing to ask for new budget. Next slide, please. That said, there are investments that, as responsible stewards, we identified as necessary. Let me walk you through how to read this table. The proposals are grouped by budget priorities, which includes our strategic priorities. To the right of the proposals, you'll see an indication to whether the proposal is ongoing or one time. And if it's ongoing, it's added to the future base budget. That'll become important in a second. Next, we have the base budgets for this cycle, for this year of this cycle, for the first year of this cycle, fiscal year 27. And next on the right is the amount the proposal would increase in fiscal year 27, followed by the amount it would increase in fiscal year 28. And lastly, the combined value of the two, and a note on fiscal year 27-28. And as I had mentioned earlier, if that change is ongoing, it's going to be reflected again in fiscal year 28 without having to appear in the next column. So effectively kind of doubling the value of that first year. All right, so going through some of these proposals for you, I'll highlight some. First, to help foster experiences within our library spaces, we are proposing 2 projects. The first, as John mentioned in his presentation, and as I had mentioned earlier, we are looking to replace that aging security system. While the system does function, the system was discontinued in 2014, and support has been a major challenge. As I mentioned previously, we're able to alleviate approximately $300,000 of this project cost with existing capital funds. The year following, we're proposing to address equipment that has exceeded its expected life, and in doing so, instead of merely replacing, we're looking to increase the efficiency of the system. Under Cultural Amplifier, we are looking to facilitate the cultural experience, and by setting an ambitious goal of increasing attendance of of 28,093 visitors in fiscal year 25 to 44,000 by fiscal year 28. And this investment will allow us to increase engagement with artists and community organizations while increasing our in-house exhibition curated content and expertise. Under resource provider, we consistently strive to enhance and increase our offerings to encourage personal growth and enrich the lives of San Franciscans. And the 7 projects aim to just do that. And I'll highlight just a few of these. To effectively provide resources that encourage personal growth and enrich the life of San Francisco, we need infrastructure that is safe and reliable. To be proposed improving the fire safety and environmental controls in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th project in that group. Also this year, the library decommissioned 5 end-of-life servers that no longer met current technological needs. While we are strategically migrating much of our servers needs to cloud services, we still require on-prem servers for vendor compatibility, legal compliance, and failover capabilities. The proposal is actually the first 2 of 5 annual server procurements. This approach will allow for budget and service stability, avoiding sudden and expensive emergency replacements that could result in service outages and additional delays due to fiscal constraints. One trade-off of this approach is illustrating the budget request increase to fiscal, as you can see in fiscal year 28, to account for inflation. I would also point out that library has consolidated all current social media postings to its central Facebook page and is in the process of sunsetting the branch Facebook pages. Not only is archiving the media content necessary to ensure its compliance with state and local laws and regulations, but preserves the records for a future resource. Last but certainly not least, we are looking to expand our successful partnership with the Treasurer's Office and provide financial coaching and additional locations. Our appointments are consistently booked, and we are seeking to bring these services out to locations where they can have a large positive impact in the community as possible. And under Thoughtful Navigator, as we considered how to serve as the best gateway we could be, one issue we identified, as John had mentioned in his presentation as well, is the upgrade of the current PA system to improve communication in the building. This will ensure everyone here will receive improved service and enhanced safety as announcements can be made quicker and in additional languages. Next slide, please. The budget we've developed so far is one that is constrained, but does make what we have identified as crucial investments. In some, we are considering investing $4.2 million in fiscal year 27, almost all of which would be one-time investments. And in fiscal year 28, another $2.6 million, again, almost all in one-time investments. This is a bit smaller investment than this time last year and reflects the current budget environment. Next slide, please. So this month, we're continuing to refine the budget proposals based both on our additional review and also based on any direction or inquiry from you all. We will continue to evaluate our interdepartmental work orders in light of the mayor's instructions. And so in February, you may see changes on that cost category as well. Next month, really in a matter of weeks, we'll come back to request your approval to move forward with our proposed budget. I'll provide you with final updates for your consideration. With your approval, we will submit the budget to the Controller's Office and the mayor. And while this may conclude this stage of the budget, I did want to let you know that between now and when the budget is approved, we are and will continue to receive updated information from the Controller's Office, especially around the Library Preservation Fund revenue and cost trends. While we were largely insulated from changes in the federal and state funds, we are still monitoring those for any impacts they may have. And where necessary, we will make adjustments to our budget to preserve service levels, achieve our goals, while meeting fiscal constraints. As is our practice, we will update you on key changes in our budget that happen between your approval and the final approved budget. Next slide, please. Thank you very much for your time and attention this evening. I and a lot of the staff are here for your questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much. We will open public comment before our commission discussion on this item. As a reminder, please limit your public comment to this specific agenda item. Public comment is now open in Correct.
Thanks, Margot. As we're getting late in the evening, so where did he? Oh, well, I'll just go ahead and start then. I don't know what upgrade of security systems for all SFPL locations mean. One of the relationships here is that when we come and ask questions, we respectfully ask for your help and assistance to ask the sharer to get further clarification, because as an audience. So what does the security system for all SFPL locations mean? That's my first question. The second question that I had was related, Mike, wherever, we'd like to take a deeper dive into the budgetary allocation process. One of the things about any partnership, for it to be meaningful, is to have meaningful answers, because for the labor side, sometimes there's a lack of, it's opaque. It's not really clear. And so just a deeper dive into how some of this process works. One of the requests for labor here is that we meet with the chief financial officer at a labor management meeting so we can get clarity, because otherwise I'm asking all these questions here that you guys are like, right? Vacancies are a real issue for our workers. Trying to understand how money that's already set aside for said positions, is that money available for vacancies if it's already been dedicated for that? When a position becomes vacant, the money has already been set aside for said position and equivalent vacancies. Is that accurate? I don't know. That's a piece that we would like to find out. I got the buzzer. Thank you, Margot.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment?
Hi, I'd just like to talk about collections for a moment. So that it is divided into online versus physical. When I started working, actually, there was no online. We didn't even have databases. But people do appreciate the online resources, but they work in a different way. When you buy a physical collection, you have the book, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because you have to also store the book and move the book. And we saw how many books they move around. With the online collections, it's sort of like where in Thomas Piketty's terms, a rentier, we are basically providing Amazon Prime or Netflix for the public. And the public likes that. So I'm not questioning that we do it. But just to sort of keep the perspective that it's just sort of money that we're paying and not getting anything physically tangible in return. And the other thing, too, is that the major provider of that service, at least the most popular one, is Libby Overdrive, which is also Canopy. And they are a subsidiary of KKR, which is a private equity firm, which has never been one of the white knights in the business world. So I just wanted to raise awareness of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any additional public comment?
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association. We can be reached at P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544, and Library Users 2004 at protonmail.com. Thanks for the report. I did think it was rather a lot opaque. Print versus electronic. Well, let me just say there needs to be serious privacy audit. How is the patron loss of privacy with any kind of electronic program or material affected? That's important, and ever more important in the current environment of danger, bullying, misinformation, disinformation, retribution, etc. Second of all, with respect to print versus, if you like, e-materials, I think the measurements are very suspect in terms of their people's preference. COVID, there was, for a time, zero circulation of materials. Anybody can read a print book. Not anybody has access to e-materials, especially it's inequitable and discriminatory for people with less income, poorer people, older people, disabled people, minorities, and so on. And books zoomed from zero circulation to very strong and stronger than e-materials, even though you're spending more money on e-materials now for several years. You're not counting in-house use of newspapers, of magazines. You're not counting in-house use or browsing of books. If I want to look at 10 books on, let's say, Fix-It Project, I can go to the library and look through 10 of them, maybe borrow one or none. But if I want to do that on e-books, most of them I have to borrow, so there'd be 10 uses recorded. Speed of acquisition is something I would like you to look at as well for physical materials compared to electronic.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Thank you. Hearing no further questions for comment, public comment is now closed, and we move to commission discussion. Colleagues. Commissioner Jones.
I just had a quick question. I'm not going to get nitty gritty here, but what I would just say, I'm just curious on some of the numbers regarding like archiving the Facebook pages. I'm surprised how expensive that is. And so I guess my question is that a labor cost that you're baking in? Like, how are you, or is this a service you have to hire?
Yeah, that's,
Sorry.
oh wait,
I know, somebody, anybody.
yeah. Looking back, but I'm confirmed. Yeah, it is full service.
Yeah, even internal hire.
It's just a service, it's not labor cost. The archive cost for the BP.
And how about this? I don't need, and I don't need an exact answer.
Yeah.
I don't need I don't need to unravel, but I would just say, feels very high.
What's that?
And I don't want to nitpick, but.
But it's not any labor cost for our staff. Yeah, no, it's all
You've conferred.
yeah, there's no labor costs included in that proposal.
Okay. Wow. I feel like these are moments where sometimes, maybe I won't say that. Okay.
Well, sorry, just to clarify the question, because I'm still on it. What is the cost from then if it's not like people?
Jamie, can you speak to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know. We're kind of playing telephone here. So the cost for archiving social media is per post, per comment. So we had a number of Facebook pages for each of our branches, and you multiply that times the number of years and the number of posts and comments that were made. So each of those needs to be archived.
And that's a service that charges that way.
That's correct.
I think we should maybe, I feel like that's I don't know what service this is, but that just feels unbelievably expensive to me for something that people can, I mean, like, I don't know, I think, Pete can do this, I don't know, I don't know. So I feel like those are, and this isn't directed at you, but I just think, like, that's one where I'm like, oh gosh, that's actually a lot of money, $100,000 that I could think of a lot of other places it could be spent. I'm sure you guys can. And so that's just one little one that I would love us to maybe just double click on to say, is the resource right that's helping us? Because maybe there is another choice. And I know we're constrained sometimes by, being in a public institution and using local city platforms. But I would love to just challenge that, because I think in the spirit of we don't have a lot of costs that we can play with, all those dollars count.
Sure. And we agree wholeheartedly with
probably
you.
agree.
I think our challenge is the Sunshine Ordinance. So we're legally mandated to perform this level of archiving, and that's really the thrust here. Is that correct, Jamie?
That's correct. We're working in line with other city departments for this particular service.
But we can certainly double check before we come back
Great.
to the February 12th meeting.
And then, sorry, just one other just like costing question is, and this might not, it's probably Michelle, but I don't even think she's here, is just around the financial coaching partnership. Oh, she is here. Hi.
Yeah.
Is that just, you're just looking at the cost of that program and then you're multiplying it by the branches that you're thinking about? Or is this an incremental cost and the financial coaching partnership?
So there is some incremental cost of living adjustments, but in addition, because the demand is so great for this financial coaching program, that's why we are expanding it. That we were already maxing out all the appointments that we have, and we do it 5 days a week right now, so.
Okay. And so I think that kind of goes back to, and I know we've had this conversation a lot in this forum of like, is there more opportunity to self-fund that? And I say that from a space of, are there programs that don't have as much demand that could be edited or sunset to fund where the demand is versus having it be an incremental ask of, almost 400. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? Asking?
No.
Okay, so if, you're saying there's a lot of extra demand for this service, and so we want to add more options for our patrons, which costs over 2 years, $400,000. Are there programs in the 3,500 programs that we offer that don't have as much demand, that have a cost to them, that we should be sunsetting, getting rid of to fund where we are actually being, like the patron is saying more. And so that it's not an incremental $400,000, or maybe it's only 200, right? It's not maybe all of the pie, but it's a part of the pie. So again, freeing up dollars to do just some of the things that we've been talking about as like innovation and new that are the surprise and delight to the patron.
I mean, we're definitely always evaluating programs, and thanks to Dolly, really, we've taken a much bigger step in understanding what programs are really worth the cost of them. So, I mean, we do that all the time and constantly.
And I would just add to that, in developing this budget for this cycle, we have not systematically analyzed programs and services to potentially sunset, to be able to reallocate revenue in the way that you're describing. But in the current fiscal year, we do have a team that is working on the criteria so that we can think properly for future budget cycles about potential programs to edit, as you mentioned, in order to free up resources for more impactful programs and services.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
On these financial coaching, because I seen firsthand how well attended those events are and how well it's used, and it's a very diverse because it's people from all walks of life that uses that service. What is the partnership with the treasurer's office? What do they provide? And this might be a naive question, but do we pay them to do that? So they don't do it for free, and that's where, so.
They don't. They hold the contract and they engage with the financial coaches, and they contract with the financial coaching firms that we host then at the library, but they are the holder of that contract, and we pay them for all the training, the curriculum, everything that goes into administering that program, in addition to paying the hard cost of the financial coaches coming in to do this program with us. And this year, I should have added this week, the treasurer and tax collector did receive a grant. So part of our increase is actually half funded by a grant. We got one additional financial coach position funded through this, thanks to that grant.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Huang?
Thank you for presenting, as always, Mike. I just had a quick question or a few questions. The first one is the page with 39 on the slide. It says 17.6 million in labor costs as a subset of the 25.3 million increase over the next 2 years. How does the 17.6 break down across the 2 years? What is in 27 and what is in 28? Or even directional figures, I'm happy with as well.
Yeah. I meant to print those out before I came here. so I'm kicking myself I didn't.
Like, is it more even? Like, should I just assume that it's like,
No, it's not. It's actually it is fairly even. It is higher in 28 slightly, and that has to do with the timing of the raises as well. So we're under the existing labor agreements that we have run through fiscal year 27, as I had mentioned in the last meeting, and those raises are staggered. So there's raises at the beginning of the year, and then I think at the midpoint and at the final day of the fiscal year. So on June 30th, there's an additional raise, and so that's how that labor agreement was structured. And then the 28 raise that they're assuming, the 28, not a raise, but the 28 labor increase they're assuming is CPI. So they're assuming that starting on day one. And so the way that compounds ends up being it ends up being a pretty high percentage overall, like I think it's 13-ish% over the 2 years, even though like we are experiencing the raise differently as the employees. So, but the way it turns out in the budget, it means that essentially a lot of those labor increases were significantly backloaded over the 3 years, and so really 27 is reaping kind of a lot of that change, and then that rate that ends up being a lot higher at the end of 27, while 27 only experiences that for about half the year, and the final raise not at all. That's all experienced then later in 28 plus a CPI increase.
yeah, gotcha. Okay. You can follow up offline on this, but as I would love to at some point get a specific number on as a percentage of the total increase in our budget between FY26 and FY28, how much is attributed to the increase in labor costs specifically? It's sounding like quite a bit. And so I think here it's just thinking on like the 3 to 5 year term, like, if it ever, I know it's probably not going to continue at the same rate, but like if, the macro environment could structurally worsen completely and labor costs do sort of drive that. There's all these things that we would probably have to talk about that we haven't had to talk about ever as a result of that. So just want to put a pin in that for future discussion. And then just to level set on the collections, I really appreciate highlighting the sort of trajectory on the physical collections. One of the things that I'm going to take the time to do is shout out to Shelley Cocking and her team, because what's behind all this is that, like, of course, we're only talking about like changes in physical and things like that, or largely speaking, I feel like there's like more things to do on physical as relates to e-collections, kind of because of that dynamic, because the vendor landscape in e-collections is so much more restrictive, and like they really squeeze you. You know what I mean? And so I know, Shelley, you are doing a lot of work behind the scenes in your team to figure out how do you get more out of this collections budget, and how do you deliver that same amount of value or more without increasing the budget. And here you see a direct consequence of your work, which is whatever you are saving on collections, you get to sort of like fund, that's where it's coming from, right? Like you get to fund like the expansion of the financial coaching and things along those lines. Because as a whole, the budget just does not have a lot to move when so much is dedicated to labor and facilities and these things that are just sort of like, as you greatly put it, the health of the home and the core of what we do. So I know it's probably a tough exercise to kind of like find that value, but I truly, really appreciate the work that you're doing there, and I'm excited to see sort of how it continues to evolve in the next couple of years.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez.
Mike, on the same page, for the technology costs, is that acquisition of new technology, repairing new technology, maintenance of new technology? What is the breakdown on that cost of that 2.8 million? If you could just elaborate a little bit more on that.
Sure. A lot of it is really just due to the increase in software There's a significant software cost increase just to maintain our current level. So in the software world, Coit tells us to expect anywhere from 9 to 13 and upwards % on year, just inflation, cost increases in software. And so we've baked in a 10% estimated increase there. But in addition to that, we use Palo Alto Networks equipment to provide a lot of the cybersecurity, and those have reached the end of their life cycle. And as we've all seen the news, cyber attacks are difficult, and if you keep trying to rely on solutions without upgrading your hardware, you're going to lose at the end of the day, right? So we have to make these sort of investments, and that's a pretty large one. That's upwards of over $1 million to upgrade that equipment. And then the book kiosks, as I've been told, are kind of still the original. Those self-checkout machines that we have everywhere, that everyone loves them. They're great. They're functional. They work great. I think some of them on the order of 25 to 30 years old at this point. So they are no longer supported, really. And the team does an amazing job. You've heard the team does an amazing job keeping those up and running. But they're kind of running out of parts and running out of solutions. So we're looking at having to replace those as well. We've got a lot. I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, for that time frame, they're very cheap year on year.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. I would just say that I appreciate, this has been a great day because everyone here is so smart. I don't have to ask questions. But I would love if after this to have some time to talk about collections. When I look at these data and these numbers, I think this is magic. That the collections team is able to do what they do with this budget. And I would like to hope that others would like to understand how that works. So thank you to the entire team. Thank you as well. And I believe with that, we are adjourned. I've always wanted to do this.